Happy to see so many people here. Let me just click that off. Welcome, everyone, to our special guest presentation. We're very excited to see so many students who have zoomed in to hear from one of our highly regarded alumni, Sheyla Navarro Samaniego. Shayla is an Emmy Award-winning investigative and consumer producer at WXTV Noticias Univision 41 and WNJU Noticiero 47 Telemundo, as well as a Purchase journalism alum. Before Shayla shares her story, her career story with us, I'd like to share a little bit of her background. Shayla started her journey in journalism as a student in Lima, Peru, before her time at Purchase College, where she earned her degree in journalism. Prior to her current positions, Shayla worked as a news writer and news operation associate for NBC Telemundo, and was the LMC TV news director and executive producer of The Local Live, where I worked with her, and as she was not worked with her, but she was an intern as well there, and she'll tell you all about that. She has also worked as a videographer and editor for LMC Media, as a writer and reporter for Westchester Hispano, as a production assistant at CNN, and as a researcher for Soledad O'Brien Productions. So she's got quite, and she's probably done a lot more that's not in that little summary, but she'll tell you about that. So let's give a warm welcome. We can see if we can clap, or you can have a reaction there. Welcome, Shayla. Take it away.
Hi, everybody.
Wait, I got to get you started with a question. Sorry. Okay. To get you started, let's just have you share, to begin with, what led you to your decision to work in this field. How did it all begin?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, when I was younger, my grandfather, he always will have a newspaper on his hands. And he will always, even at a young age, he will give me a newspaper and he will make me read it and say, what do you understand? And it was a habit that I did it as a younger. But I was so in love with my grandfather that I wanted to be a lawyer because I wanted to fight for justice. But when I learned about journalism, that you could also fight, like being the underdog and start like uncovering the stories and really making a change, and I was fascinated by all the work that was done in Peru. I really lived during the times of corruption. I mean, when I was very young, there was a lot of terrorism in Peru, and there was a lot of corruption in times of Fujimori, like our president. So all the journalists were really doing such an amazing work reporting, and I was watching every weekend the news, and I say, I want to do that. I want to do that, and it was my dream to, oh my God, I want to work at CNN, and I don't know, I just had like this passion for telling stories, and I think that journalism is like so powerful, and you could do so many things, and you could be creative, you could like fight for justice and do like an investigative report. You could fight for people that don't have a voice, and fight for their rights when you do consumer journalism too. And you could pretty much like just be so powerful by just sharing like the story of someone or your own story. And it's such a very beautiful way to express and to share like the message, of the message that you want to give, like, whether you want to give hope, whether you want to give message of like, I'm upset this is happening, we need to change. I think it's such an amazing career, such an amazing tool to make a change in this world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, if you were to think about currently as a journalist today, what would be some of the main challenges that you feel that students would need to be aware about?
Well, there are different challenges in many levels. When you're a student, sometimes you just, are doing your homework and you're trying to write articles and you're trying to, be always, a good student and try to learn the best from your professor. But sometimes when you are on the field, there are other challenges that you face that you really didn't get to learn it in the classroom. You know, competition in media is a huge thing. You get to work with the best professionals, you know, because mostly everybody that is there really is super competent and have lots of experience. So whether you like, let's say you're younger and right, you're like in your 20s or maybe not so young, like in your 30s, but you're working with people that have been there in the business for like 20 something years, and you have like all of this creative and like, I want to do this and I want to do that, and you have all this dream and this passion. And sometimes you're really, oh, I want to do this and that, and have my YouTube channel, and sometimes you're gonna find that some people could be sometimes a little bit tired of the industry, of like the way it is, and sometimes you will feel a little bit discouraged. So you will feel like a little bit like, oh my God, I'm not sure if this is really what I want to do. So you could even, like the first challenge for me, for example, was that, right? Trying to adapt into the media world, because you get to interact with so many people, and sometimes you're like, okay, I don't want to speak too much because I don't want to sound like a know-it-all, but then I don't want to not to speak because then I'm too shy and not aggressive. So there's some people skills that sometimes you don't learn it really at the school, you learn it really at your internships, and really like that definitely sets you for your life, right? So that was like challenges, like personally speaking, adapting to the media world, or to any career that you have, you know, just adapting into the world and trying to, you know, be competitive, like you are like at the level that they want. You want to meet their expectations, but you want to exceed their expectations, you know. And you just need to prepare yourself a lot for that. But that's just like a challenge as a student, like just maybe like getting, like landing your first job, right? Like just getting your foot at the door. And you're gonna get frustrated too, because you're gonna send a lot of resumes and people are not gonna call you right away, and you're gonna feel so discouraged. And so those are like challenges, just like in terms of just getting there, starting there. But once that you are like inside, you know, and when you are like working and interacting to people, you're gonna talk to a lot of people. And if you are like in the journalism beat, right, they are going to try to like send you stories, and they say like, hey, I have this story here, hey, I have this. And you have like, you start like getting to know a lot of people, and then you're going to learn that some people have their own agenda, and some people like will tell you this story, and then you're like, oh, okay, that sounds like a good story. And but you really need to like ask questions. You really need to make sure that, you know, are they saying the truth? Or, I mean, what do they win? So you need to like pretty much be like a detective, right? Like a police, and be hearing all the sides of the story. And with fake news and with the technology out there, how do you know if it's a real picture? How do you know if it's a real video? So you need to have more than one source to, not even like three sources. You need to have like sources, and you need to really like base your work on investigation, because it's not like, okay, let's say like you just get the wrong information. You get sued if you really don't have the information accurate, right? I used to work in the consumer beat, and I used to answer like maybe like from like 80 to 100 calls maybe a day, and answer like different messages of people asking for help. And I will need to like listen to all what they have to say. And at the beginning, I was believing them, you know, because I just started. But then when you start getting the documents, and when you start like analyzing what they're saying, there were some things that were not making sense. And then I learned, oh, I sent my reporter all the way to Long Island City, Long Beach, for a story that I thought was a story, but it was not a story, you know? So you're going to like, I guess like with like people approaching you with the rush to really try to be good, and you get excited. Like, this is a learning process, and you're gonna make mistakes, and sometimes you could get very hard on yourself because you're like, oh my God, I did this really bad. But you just have to like, if you made a mistake, assume and get up and, you know, move on. But definitely, you know, the sources and people lying could be like a challenge. And of course, like it depends on where you are, but immediacy, right? So you want to have the story first, but and you want to put together, let's say, a news package, but then someone maybe on Twitter or like on Instagram, or they already have the story like faster than you. So technology is evolving so fast that you don't really want to keep behind, and you want to like be always, you know, up to date with everything. Because if you are not up to date with what's going on, then you're really, you know, like someone is gonna do, and then like you already miss it, right? You have to. It's so competitive that you cannot really just like sleep. You have to be always like active in everywhere, in your social media, on your LinkedIn, and everything, because it's competition is really everywhere, and you must just, you know, get yourself and be like, what do I have to offer that they don't have? Why I'm better than them? So you need to like embrace all your difference and all your skills, and try to have confidence so you could face any difficulty on the way, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, could we that brings me to a good segue to the next question. Can you think about, you think about the kinds of skills that you developed along the way, and the understanding of the way the industry worked, and what you brought to the table. Are there specific skills that you use now that that maybe you started to develop perhaps as early as your internship experience, and as well as the courses that you've taken? Can you think about like the skills that you developed early on that helped you leverage to the next to each step as you went along? Specific
Well,
skills that maybe were most helpful.
so I was very curious about every single aspect of journalism, you know, whether writing, TV, radio, web, you know, like every little thing. So for me, when I was studying at Purchase, I took different courses because I was interested a little bit in everything. So, but when I did my internship, I really learned a lot of technical skills that maybe I didn't take, because you have you have a certain amount of credits that you could take at Purchase, and because I was an international student, I couldn't take it all. So I pretty much tried to learn what I didn't learn at college at my internship. So for example, um, like video, I mean, working with the camera. And I learned, when I was, I had an internship at LNC TV, which right now is called LMC Media. It's a public access TV station. So they pretty much gave me the opportunity to grab everything that I can. So I could grab cameras, I could go and play and edit. I could just work and do any project, if a podcast or radio. So I got the chance to just grab everything. And I also did a lot of technical skills, like working on Illustrator, working on Adobe InDesign, working on Photoshop. So pretty much when I landed my first job, I had to use all of those skills. I have to learn how to edit. I have to learn how to film. And if I want to like advertise my own show, then I have to create and design my own graphics, because I didn't have just a special person to do graphics. So knowing a little bit of graphics, you know, my own like writing and reporting skills, and like the technical part, uh, like they were the base for getting up and landing my job at the network. Because when I was at Telemundo, and they were talking all technical words, and I felt like they were testing me. They felt like, say like, oh, you know, we're gonna do an MOS and BOSO, and I was like, and they were talking so fast, and I was like, I got you, because I knew all of this, because I work at a small TV station. So, you know, I was like, oh, you're testing me. I know this. I know, you know, I know what is a natso. It's a natural song. I know that a song on tape. I know what is a voice over. And they were like impressed that even though it was just an entry-level job, I knew that. So it does help you when you go to little places and learn everything. Because if you go to, I don't know, NBC, ABC, they're not going to give you the camera. They're not going to say, hey, you could like edit this package right now. No, you're an assistant. You could just watch. if you are hungry to really learn this stuff, you need to start at like a very small place, because that's when you, and the small places, especially on TV, it could be, you know, like public access television. Uh, Here in Westchester, you have LMC TV. But if you, like, for example, in the city, like you have Bronze Nets, you have CUNY TV, you have Brick TV, and it's people that actually work there. They put together amazing work. And then when it's time for the Emmy Awards, you see CUNY TV participating, you see Brick TV participating, and maybe that was your work there, and that could be on your resume, you know? So I think it's very important to get as much experience as you have. Like, don't wait until like the last semester. Start as early as you can.
Is there any, I mean, that, I think that might answer this question, but are there any skills that you wished that you had developed earlier in your career or while at Purchase? If you could give advice to the current students about skill development, you know, what should they be thinking about now?
I guess something that I learned with time, and it's not really like a technical word. It's not that I did. I mean, well, I could divide it in two parts, right? The people skills, and you know how to handle the stress, and how to have a work life balance. Because when you work in the newscast, whether you work at a 24/7 news cable newscast, or whether you just are doing like an 8-hour shift, you never do an 8-hour shift. You could like be doing like 10-hour shift, 12 hours in front of a computer. And even when you get home, you have to like be watching the news, and you have to be having all of these alerts on your phone, because the next day everybody's gonna say, okay, so what are we gonna do today? And if you don't know, if you're not used to like being a news junkie, especially if that's what you want to do, then this is gonna be harder for you. So it's better to, like, for example, I love producing, but because of my background, maybe I didn't have too much of I didn't know too much how, you know, American politics work. So maybe for me, it would have been better to take an American politics class just because I'm an immigrant, right? But also at the same time, you know, I think that the most important skill that maybe I didn't have, and that I learned with my way, is maybe just trying to have that work balance life, because I was working so hard because I really want to, you know, get promoted, and I want to make more money, and I want to, you know, don't be looked as just someone that is like on an entry level. But sometimes I noticed that I was under too much stress, and then I was way too tired. And sometimes you burn, sometimes you crash, and you're gonna find people in media that sometimes they change their career because they cannot handle the stress, and because they don't know how to really balance the work and life, you know. And I believe that it really is you, if you, like, for example, I'm someone that I have a lot of um, you know, when I am really on the song, I'm like working. I don't even feel hungry, and I'm working. But then I notice later, when I have burned in the past, that I'm like, okay, I have to stop, take a deep breath, like, you know, it's just a job. But I guess the competition, you know, really make me a little bit of uh, a little bit more like, I was very hard on myself, maybe harder than I should have been. But it paid the how do you say, when you pay your dues? I did pay my dues.
You paid your dues.
And finally, I'm like I'm not like an entry level, you know, professional. Not anymore.
Yeah, it takes a lot of hard work and drive and passion for the work that you do. And that's really important advice for those who are exploring and trying to figure out what their next steps are, and whether this field is a fit for them, and what area of this field would be a fit for them. If you think back to, you know, in thinking about, like, you know, picking a piece of work, what would you say was your favorite, and are you most your favorite, and or that one that you're most recognized for? Is there anything that stands out some of the work that you've done, projects that you've worked on?
Well, when I was I could say at two levels, right? Because when I was working at the small TV station, um, just so you know a little bit about, so I used to just have be an intern, and I used to just edit and maybe do some film, just like a regular intern. But with that, they were just telling me just edit one piece or just do this video. They were not too hard on like I want you to do this, I want you to do. They were just giving me some projects, and they were very easygoing. So in my mind, I was thinking big, and I thought this as an opportunity. I remember I was taking Mary Alice's class, and Mary Alice was teaching us how to put together news packages, and we were doing some small pieces for we have like Panther Bites. We had a show at Purchase. So when they told me just grab the camera and film general stuff, I said, this is an opportunity. Why would I just make like a very basic video when I could do an awesome video for myself? I'm not working for them, I'm working for myself. So I put together, I remember I was covering some parade or some community event. I did voiceover, I got in front of the camera, I do the standard, I put together a piece. They really loved that. When they love that, they say, now we want you to do that all the time. And I say, oh yeah, why did I did that? Now more work for me, right? But at the end, I put together a very, very basic like portfolio website on WordPress. And every little video that I would do, I put it there. If like Mary Alice said, like, do this package, I put it there. So I would just start like my articles, everything, because it was just a student portfolio website. But with that portfolio, and eight after eight eight interviews over the phone with different CNN producers, I got a CNN internship. And they say, we don't care that you know this, I know. We just really like that you're very stubborn and you're very willing and you don't give up when we keep saying you no, right? And I keep fighting for that internship. So with that, I got the chance to work with the group of right now is CNN New Day, but before that there's a show was called Early Start and Starting Point, and it was with John Berman, Soledad O'Brien, and that team really, like, I was just a production assistant there. But my boss from the little TV station that I work, he's like, oh, I saw your LinkedIn. You're working at CNN right now. And I say, yeah, it's very cool, though it's overnight. And they said like, oh, cool. When you finish, call me. So I called him and he said, I want to make you an offer. And I said, what offer? And he said, I want you to create a news show for us from zero. And I said, are you serious? I hardly even speak English, my English is horrible. And I was very insecure because it was 2013. I just finished, just graduated, and I didn't feel confident to launch a whole TV show by myself. And he said, you could do it. I know you can do it. Just, I'll give you 3 months, do your research, put together a rundown, and you're not going to have really a lot of people to work with, but we have volunteers. You will have to create a program to train people. You will have to teach people how to do the work. But you could do it. And I said, oh, okay. So that time, I had like a lot of friends that were seniors at Purchase, and they were about to graduate. They also graduated and they were looking to do stuff. So I said, hey guys, I have this opportunity. I know it's really not pay, but if you guys want to like create videos and just have this for your resume, like, let's do it. So I called a friend of mine, Alina Suriel. No, actually I called first Eugene Castillo. And I say, and I told Alina, hey Alina, do you have Eugene's number? I know she's like a reporter. And she said like, what is that? And then she's like, I want to be part of that. And she has this amazing energy. And then at the end, Eugene was just only a reporter, but Alina became pretty much like an associate producer. And the early stages of that show, we launched it together. We built together a newscast that was like a 30-minute newscast, and it was created by just people like from the community. And we had I had like an editor that was maybe 13 years old. I have like a person that was on camera that was like 70, And it was really like community TV show. And that show started with nothing, with no segments, with no graphics. It would look horrible, but then it actually looked good. And I was able to produce like about 211 shows. And I feel like my biggest achievement was starting something from zero that really was respected by the community, that public officials will come to talk, to sit there. Like because of that show, I was able to have on my reference letter, I put George Latimer, like the Westchester County executive. He's on my reference letter because he would come to the show all the time. I had, I pretty much had a good relationship with all of these public officials that were really very nice. So it was a show that really like gave me the confidence that I didn't have, because I was not confident because I was a foreign. I hardly like speak really well English. I still have a tough accent, and my writing was like always with some mistakes. But my boss, Eric Lewis, has so much trust in me, and he said you could do it. And the people that work in that, like the students, I have high school students, interns from Purchase, and interns from Iona, from everywhere. They were very happy. Some people from that little show are right now on TV. Anthony Carlo, he's a news reporter in the Bronx. I don't know if someone lives in the Bronx and have News 12. He is on camera all the time. He was my intern, and he wanted to be a sports person, and I say, no, be on camera, you could do this. So that I transferred that confidence that my boss gave me to other people. Like I know someone from that show that I started that is also at CBS, that they are right now at Fox. Actually, Christy Copiello, she was recently a graduate at Purchase College. Like maybe she might be your student, Donna, and she did amazing there. And she's right now a producer, I think, at local. I guess I don't remember whether she's at Fox. Maybe I think she's at a local TV station, and she's so happy because she said like, "Oh, thank you so much." And she did the same as I did, right? Like start like applying her skills and put it into place. But that's like at the personal level, something that I started, and I think that right now with the technology, you could start your own work. Like you could start your own YouTube channel. You could start your own show. I have so many friends in media that they're working like 20 something years. And then they say, oh, now I want to start a YouTube channel. Like finally now, when they could have done this, now I notice that I don't like that because, we're millennials. We have like the power to create opportunities. You could create your own business. You could create your own website and have your own income, right? But in terms of like working at the network, I think like the most rewarding job that I had was working in the consumer department and investigative department. So many people sometimes don't know really what is that. Like I didn't even know that what was that. I didn't know that existed until I got the job at Univision 41. So when I did my interview, my boss said like, "What do you like about journalism?" And I said, "I like to help people." And he said like, "I think there's a segment for you. We have a consumer segment that people call and ask for help, and you just help them." And I said, "What is that?" And he said, "Well, you just listen to them, and depending of the topic, there are things that we could solve the problems for them." So I started working with Berenice Garner, and she's a well-recognized consumer reporter. She actually just recently won like the best consumer reporter and investigative consumer reporter, like in all New York. And not just the Spanish network. She competed with ABC, NBC, with all the networks, and she won. And she's amazing because she taught me a lot of tools that I didn't know actually. So for example, there were a lot of people that would call and say, I work for 20 something hours and I didn't get paid. And then other person will say the same, I did that. and we had like a WhatsApp number. So through the WhatsApp, people would send us different messages. And at the end, I noticed, and I say, we got like a message that is called, they said like, I invest $100,000 on with this company, and I invest this. We had one person, and then we ended up having like a list of 93 people. And the case was called Cash Flow Partners. Cash Flow was a company, well, yeah, it was a company that it had a whole pyramid scheme. So they will, so let's say you will go for the company and say, hey, can you borrow me $20,000? And they say, yes, sure. And they make you sign some documents. And on the document said, I give you this money, but you have, we will take other loans under your name, and you only have to pay for your part of the loan. So it was a huge story that it was even harder to understand at the beginning. The point is that I was able to collect all of these people, and we were able to help them because we tell them, this sounds like it's a scam right now. So we tell them, you gotta call to the district attorney and make a formal complaint. And I will call these people every day. Please call them, do your complaint. People until now call me in that case. After probably like 1 year of working together with Berenice and reporting on this, there was a federal case against this guy. And right now, this guy is about to face sentence for, I don't know, I believe it's like I don't know, like 30 years in jail for scamming all of these people. And he's facing like another lawsuit from the investment, I guess, departments because of financial fraud. So that was like a job that I just started just with one person. And at the end, finally, there's going to be justice, you know, justice is going to be served. And we really help these people. And that work did not win like the best investigative piece, but the one that won, that which I won the Emmy, was like a series of reports about people fighting to like for housing, and then another one about fighting for like labor rights. A lot of people that work and don't get paid, we will call them and say like, hello, this is Sheyla Navarro calling from Noticias Univision 41. We received like about 30 complaints from these people that are saying that they did not get paid. So we don't think that it's necessary for us to do a story. So would you please pay these people? Or like, is there like I mean, we're just trying to, you know, to help them, you know? So pretty much we were like really like speaking for them, and many of the stories really didn't go to air, and we would just solve their problems. And this is where people say, oh my God, help me, please, you always get people to pay. And then, and it was just, you know, us just trying to make the call for these people. And on the investigative unit, we did like a whole report about lead in water in Newark. We did a partnership with together with Jose Paglieri, and one of the investigative reporters that I work with. He's amazing, and he was able to do a partnership with Columbia University, and we did a whole study of the Newark water together for free. Like we read 100 samples, while the EPA only did 3 samples. We did 100 samples in a day. So it's just like really nice to do the work and help people, you know. It's you at the end of the day, all the 12 hours or the 10 hours a day, it paid off. You just feel good at the end of the day, you know.
So that early interest in law and justice really kept propelling you to different kinds of experiences, and as well as achievements, which is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you're a very valued reporter in your area, in your organization. Mm-hmm. We thought that maybe we would open it up to some additional questions. Many of these questions came from the students in advance, but perhaps Jessica can now check to see if there are questions from the audience, and we'll see if there are other things that they would like you to share.
Sure.
Anybody have? There you go. They're going to ask their questions in the chat.
Yeah, so right now we don't, invited everyone to either unmute yourself to ask, or you can put it in the
Well,
chat.
there's no silly question, believe me. You could ask anything. I'm just an open book. So any doubts or any fears or anything about that you feel, I'm willing to answer. I work a lot with reporters and people that want to be in front of the camera too. So if you're interested in TV, let me know.
If not, I'll go to another question from the original group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's none right now. Wait, I have.
Oh, there we go. Question came in.
So the question is, what company are you currently working for?
Right now, I'm working at Univision, New York, as a line producer. And produce the newscast at 12:30 every day, from Monday to Friday. Mm-hmm. What TV show did you produce? Well, in the past or right now? Right now, I'm producing Edición Digital Nueva York. In the past, I produced, I was part of the production team of Early Start and Starting Point at CNN. And then I work in all the newscasts at Telemundo. So all the time, all the newscasts. They will keep rotating me. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's actually a good question, Barbara. So overcoming my fear to speaking out, right? I actually, that's something that I keep learning every day, because sometimes you know, some people, I mean, some people are stronger than others, right? And it depends on how you react. You know, sometimes when you're an intern and or you're like an entry level employee, you don't have all the answers most of the time, right? But sometimes people have patience and they're very nice to you and say like, if you have any question, just ask me. But when everybody's on a rush, it's on breaking news and they don't have time to deal with you. And you just have to like figure it out by yourself, right? So, and sometimes I will hear different comments that, oh my God, I was coming back home and I was just crying and crying. I said, I cannot deal with this, Mom. I don't like it. I need to change careers. And I would just cry with my mom, right? And then she said, like, you have to speak up. And some people are really have fast reactions. So you say this, and I say, bah, and I don't. I literally like freeze. So I literally like take a deep breath and I say like, okay. So something that I learned actually not from working the network, but what I learned when I was working at a spa, is that when someone yells at you, you don't want to put your voice at the same level. You want to maybe just lower your voice and say like, okay. And you know, I would recommend that you always write everything down, because you're gonna forget. There will be like, have you seen that movie that what is the movie with the Devil Wears Prada, where they tell you blah, 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 and you're like, okay, yeah, you're gonna, maybe when you get one of your first job, if you have luck, you're gonna have people that will be very easygoing. But if not, you're gonna have people that say like, I want this, I want that, and you're like, okay, and maybe you forgot what was it, and then how you could forget, right? And then you're gonna be able to have this, you know, like a little bit of like unsettlement, because you want to speak up and say like, hey, don't talk to me like that. But at the same time, you're just the intern or you're just the production assistant, and they are maybe on a higher level thing. So what I would tell you is like, if you have a fear to speak up, first of all, just breathe and maybe like walk out and maybe just organize your ideas before you're gonna say it. Like if you have like issue like me that like stumble when I get nervous to talk about it, just take a deep breath, work out, walk some way, write down what you're gonna say. But remember, you are on like a journalism world. Like you need to have the facts. And if everything is better in writing, so then there's proof of what was told to you. So if your supervisor tell you like, hey, I need you to do this, and you say, no, you didn't. Well, I had on the email, and on the email doesn't say that. So that's your proof, right? Written. But honestly, what has for me is like at the next day, I sit down, I put down my ideas, and then I try to ask for a meeting. And again, and you need to try to find the right time to talk to the person, right? Because if this person is agitated, you're not going to be able to do. So I had like an issue, no, I mean, with many people in the past, you know, and I have to say like, hey, I'm sorry, how can I improve? Instead of you like, you can never take it personal, right? But instead of taking it personal, you want to say like, how can I improve? I mean, and even like, and sometimes you may have like someone telling you, accusing you about something that you didn't do, but you need to learn to pick your battles, right? And you need to learn to know when to start a battle and when to, okay, you know, it's just okay. I mean, like, oh, okay, don't worry, you know. But you need to just analyze. And I will say that the first thing for me was I will speak with everybody, even with the person that cleaned the bathroom or the security person, because you never know. But really, at the end of the day, if you have like a conflict at work, everybody will see like, oh, she's like someone amazing. Like I don't think so, you know. So it's really about you feeling comfortable in your work environment, and talking to everybody is very important. When I used to work at the Red Door Spa in White Plains at the Westchester Mall, um, I used to just talk to random people and be just a receptionist. But you know, at the spa, everybody talks. So when I was trying to apply to an internship, I remember that I applied for Univision and I applied for CNN. One lady who used to get her hair done there all the time to get her hair done, she was an old lady and maybe like in her 80s. And she said like, Shayla, and I said, yes. She said like, I heard you're applying for an internship at Univision. And you know my daughter works at Univision. And I said, no, I didn't, Miss Levy. And she said like, wait, you have to be smart and you need to learn to use your contacts. And I said, Miss Levy, I mean, I didn't really want to take advantage of like asking you for a favor. I really don't know you. She said like, come on, don't be stupid. Who was the person who sent you, who interviewed you? And they said, I'm not promising you that you're gonna get the internship, but I promise I will ask my daughter to put a good work for you. And it was just a lady that just got her hair done there. And very funny, like at the end, Univision didn't call me. And then like I also applied for CNN. And then the hairstylist there, the colorist said, oh, my client actually works at CNN. And I said, yes, yeah, she gets her hair done all the time. I actually was talking about you, that you're gonna get an internship there. Let me introduce her. So she brought me to the girl, like getting her hair done. And she's like, hi, I'm Soraya Samboling. And I said, oh, you're Soraya? And she said, yes. I said, oh, I'm going to work in your show. I'm going to be an intern at your show. Like, it was such a small world. And she said, like, oh my God, I'm so happy. I mean, I heard amazing things here at the spa, that you're like such an amazing girl. Good luck. I'll see you on Monday. And literally on Monday, she was like, hi, Shayla, welcome. Let me introduce you to everybody. Like, she will know me for like all life. So you never know, like the people that you meet in life, you know, every little place where I've been to like really have helped me to the next day. So just talk to everybody, be friendly, and get in touch. Keep in touch and get your LinkedIn the best you can, so you could get a job as soon as you graduate. Mm-hmm.
There are a couple more questions in the chat. So one was, so how did you overcome your struggle with writing?
Oh my God, writing is difficult because I love writing, but I have faced a lot of like writing block. And when you have a deadline, you cannot have writer flow. You just need to like think fast. But I notice when I have more time to write, I don't write. But if I have like, I don't know, they say like, I need to write this now. I have no time to doubt about myself. I just write and I get the job done. I guess I am like, how do you say, like a functional procrastinator, you know, that I work better under stress. I think like sometimes I'm addicted to the stress hormones because I have maybe like 2 minutes for the show to go on air and I get so much work done than I had like maybe 4 hours to produce it. I mean, I don't think it's good to do that. It's better to have that on time, but not everybody works at the same speed, and some people really work better under stress. But I mean, whether you work in radio, whether you are in front of the camera, whether you're behind of the camera, you need to write. If you don't know how to write, I mean, you are like, because if you are in front of the camera, not everybody's gonna write your scripts. You have to write your scripts, and if you don't write good, then then you're not gonna be, like maybe like the first choice for like a producer. Oh no, I'd rather put this other reporter, right? And whether you are behind the camera, like I'm a producer, like I need to make sure that I have no spelling mistakes, that everything is okay, because my first language is not English. I double, triple, quintuple check, because I always gonna make mistakes, right? So everything like is writing, everything. So just make sure that read a lot, and write simple. Write like you are like talking for like a 5-year-old. It needs to be clear and simple. If you're on camera and you're supposed to like report, do an interview, you have like a piece that is maybe gonna be 2 minutes, and you have like an interview that is going to be maybe 1 hour or 45 minutes. How do you summarize 45 minutes into 2 minutes or into 1 minute and a half? How do you summarize all of that? Like, do you have anybody like have any idea how to summarize such a block of amount of information into something? So please, anyone, don't be shy. I tell you how. When you have so much information, you would notice that you are going to remember only a few things, because you cannot remember everything. So what is stuck in your mind is the most important. So if I spoke to, I don't know, whichever favorite artist, let's say Beyonce, right? I interview Beyonce right now. So, and she spoke for 30 minutes and I love Beyonce. The 3 main things that are stuck in my head are going to be my main angle of the story, because that means that made an impact on myself, and that's how I'm going to shape my angle of what I want to say. So that's how it helps me to put together long interviews into like a small interview, trying to just think what is stuck in my head from all of this amount of information, that helps me. Any other question?
Yeah, there is another question in the chat. And a lot of, I'm seeing a lot of, there were students giving some, great information there too. Take the stuff that stands out, find the most important information and condense, highlight the most captivating themes.
The janitors see it all. Yeah, The janitors know everything. They know everything. Information is power. Information is power.
So I'm going to ask Donna, I'm going to ask you a question, and then Sarah, then I'm going to get to your question. So the first question is the language spoken at Univision mostly Spanish? Do you have to be fluent in both in order to work there?
In both languages, yes. We are always speaking English and Spanish, but mostly all our meetings are in English. Yeah.
And then the next question is, do you mostly write stories based on truth or situations that are currently going on now, or whichever comes to mind?
Okay, so where I change segments. So before I was a segment producer. So segment producer means that I am in charge of like a specific part of like a whole broadcast. So my segment maybe was 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Right now I am in charge of 30 minutes of content. So right now what I'm doing is I have 0 content, and then I decide what goes in between, right? What is the content that I'm going to, what are the most important news during that hour for the day? So I work with a team of, I have 2 anchors, I have 1 reporter, I have 1 editor, and then I have a director and a technical director and like audio operator. So pretty much, and I have 1 writer. So I start with nothing on my rundown, and then I start reading all like different like news sources, right? I read the wires, I read the news articles, I read ABC, NBC, Fox, Telemundo. I read everything. New York One Noticias, News 12. I read the newspapers. I read everything. And then our audience is Spanish, right? So depending on what is news for you, what are news for you for my audience? Like my audience wants to know if there is a new law that is going to impact their life. If, for example, like many people from our audience are struggling with housing. They couldn't pay rent. They lost their job because of coronavirus, or they are sick. So they need to know about the free resources available for them, right? So I would try to like pick news according to that. Actually, we do have pretty much some guidelines of how to produce, but each network or each media have like their own editorial line, and according to that, when you start a job, they're going to tell you, oh, this is what we want, and according to that, you just follow that. But if you create your own, let's say, YouTube channel, you need to know your audience. You need to know what's your product. You need to know what to sell. What are you selling? Are you selling entertainment, beauty? Are you selling music? Are you selling, like, I don't know, healthy lifestyle? Or are you selling like hard news? And which people? How old? 20, 30s, 40s, male, women? So it is important to know your audience so then you could create content. Mm-hmm.
I think I missed before the question. Do bilingual journalists get paid more?
That's a good question. I read a long time ago that that bilingual professionals get paid higher than just someone that just has maybe one language. But I also heard from my coworkers that with the job that I'm doing right now, if I would work at an American market, I would be making like maybe 15% more. I think it depends really on the resources of the channel where you are, whether you are like a small TV channel, whether you are like in a big network. What I could tell you from my experience regarding salaries and regarding like asking for like a salary, right? And knowing when to stay and when to leave a place. So when I was at CNN, I was told start little and then move up. And I always met two kind of people. Someone that maybe started as an intern and move all the way up to producer, senior producer, someone that maybe was like, I don't know, 30 years on the same company and just grow little by little. But there's other people that actually have a resume that they've been like one place, another place, another place, another place. And from what I heard from some people in media, some friends and colleagues, is that unfortunately, and not in all media companies, is that some companies, they appreciate loyalty, right? And they're like, oh my God, you're amazing and great. But sometimes when you have like a lot of like lines on your resume and you've been in different companies, your value is higher. So let's say I'm a producer and I'm gonna get hired. I'm gonna get a promotion, right? So maybe my promotion, I will get a little bit of, like, if I was making, let's say, I don't know, 50,000. Let's say I get a promotion and I'm gonna get maybe like 55 or 60,000. But let's say they bring a producer from, I don't know, ABC or from CNN. That producer is gonna value more. And that producer is probably gonna get paid 80,000 or 90,000 because they're coming from outside. So it's like, you're a professional, but you also like have, your experience is valuable, and how many lines that you put on your resume is important. You don't want to like have like 3 months in each work, but you also like, if you are like in one place, make sure that you grow. Don't stay in the same position for too long, because they would say, oh, why this person is being on this position for like 5 years in the same position? Why they didn't move up? So, well, maybe they like it, but maybe they're content with their life. But if you want to, like, I put myself goals when I started like at a very low pay rate, and I said, this year, let's say I'm making 30,000. Next year, or in the next couple of years, 50,000. In the next time, I'm gonna be at 70,000. Next time, I wanna make 100,000. So setting myself goals and really having a plan have really like put me on, you know, even when I get distracted, that's my plan, you know, still reaching up to get like the best education. I want to still make a master probably and educate myself and do more so I could like be a better professional. So, but setting goals for me has helped me a lot.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, so the next question is, what was a class you took at Purchase not part of journalism that helped you?
Well, I was not taking many classes because I was an international student. I had a lot of classes that I took in Peru, so I didn't really need to take a lot. But one of my favorite classes that I took that was not really part of the journalism program, it was called Politics and Immigration, because I've been very, and it was taught by Professor John Gitlis. I'm not sure, I don't know if he still teaches or maybe not. But it made me understand a little bit of the history of immigrants, and because I'm very into, I want to learn how immigrants fit in the United States and the past, and it actually helped me understand how I was adapting to this country. Uh, it was funny because we created like a good friendship with that professor, and I say on my senior project, Mary Alice told me, you know, I said I want to do a documentary because you have the chance to either write or do a documentary, and I decided to choose a documentary. And he told me, go to this organization. It's actually, I'm part of this organization. He invited me there and just volunteer, talk to people, and maybe you could find some people to talk to you for your senior project. And that organization told me to if I could volunteer teaching English and Spanish, helping like the ESL students there. And when they start meeting me, they say, so you go for journalism? And I say, yes. And do you like TV? And I say, I love TV. And they say, would you like to like create a TV show for us in Spanish for children? And I say, yes, TV show. Yes, I'm going to do this. So I created like a TV show with children that were like maybe between 6 to like 12 or 13 years old, like teenagers. And that show aired at LMC TV. And this is how I got introduced to LMC TV, from the Hispanic Resource Center to LMC TV, you know. LMC TV, you know, I got the portfolio CNN, and then I went back to LMC TV producing that. Then I put an awesome resume and an awesome LinkedIn profile, and a producer from Telemundo found me online and offered me my first job on the network. So I didn't look for it. I was scouted on LinkedIn.
We have a question that was from the registration form, which is, how has the Black Lives Matter movement influenced news operations at Univision?
Good question. So actually I was talking about that to my boss today, because he told me, oh, someone told me about a story that I believe it's like some family was disrupted about the Black Lives Matter movement. And he said, wait, how did this happen? Where did this happen? Oh yes, it's an article. And I said like, but how? Like, why, you know, where are your sources? So, I mean, it's a very sensitive topic, and you cannot just inform, you know, without really like having all your facts. And sometimes you will see like articles out there, you know, that have very few information, but you'll see them out there. And at Univision, during the Black Lives Matter movement, and especially with the George Floyd protest, we were trying to be the most careful that we can, but we need to inform them, because even though, you know, my audience is like, you know, mainly Hispanic, but we also like felt the same, you know, police brutality, because some people will say, oh, you know, if this person would be Hispanic, maybe nobody would be like talking about it, you know. And you need to like tell this story so then people really know that this is a fact, that this is happening. You know, police brutality is actually real. You know, everybody saw it. And we were really very careful on really covering and trying to make sure that, you know, like choose the images like wisely. And but again, the whole angle of it is like, for example, when we are, you know, one thing is just, you know, covering the protests and just showing the images of the protests, that we were going a little bit about beyond, about, for example, if you are protesting outside, what are your rights? You know, what are your rights? Are you going to, I mean, if the police stop you, you know, I mean, so we always don't like just to cover things for, oh, this just happened. No, we always try to find how people could benefit from it. So, for example, a rape, you know, a rape happens all the time. But then how you will switch the story is like at the end when you're writing the story, it's like if you're a victim of a rape or if you know that someone needs help, please call the hotline, you know. So always bring in the resource for like for the person so they know that there's help available, you know, not just saying like, oh, this person was victim of domestic violence, they killed her and blah blah blah, and the kids don't have parents. No, it's like this is a hotline for you to call if you know someone that is going through this. So always trying to like put the angle to how we could help people. That's how we orient the news that we cover.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think, so there's one, how long did you spend at Purchase and how did it differ from your other college?
Okay, actually it was very different because in Peru, I mean, it's definitely, you know, a third world country, so there are more problems. And our assignments were very complex. So when I was a student in Peru, I remember that I even interviewed a presidential candidate. You know, I was in Peru and we were on election season, and my assignment was interview a presidential candidate. And I was like, how am I gonna do that? Just do it. You have to do it. You're a journalist. This is what you have to do. And then my professor said, I remember on my TV class, he said, who wants to be in front of the camera? And everybody was like, me. And he said, who hates to be in front of the camera? And of course, we're like, no, we don't want to be in front of the camera. Okay, whoever wants to be in front of the camera, you guys are going to write because you're not going to be the star. You're not going to be the face. Whoever loves to write, they are going to be in front of the camera and they're going to face their fear. And if they don't like it, well, you could just like get out right now of my class. So it was very tough love, you know. And actually that's how I decided that I want to work in TV, because my first assignment was you need to find an ex, you know, military that a mercenary that is going to work as a security agent at the embassies of Iraq. So he said, you need to find someone that is going to like decide to put their life at risk and go to Iraq, a Peruvian that's going to do it for the money. And I was like, this is impossible. I cannot do it. It's so much. But I remember I went through like the worst place. I almost got my camera stolen, but I found it. I found the guy that was willing to risk his life and leave everything and be the security of like the US embassy in Iraq in times of war. And it was fascinating to be able to reach that, you know. I remember another story was like, I needed to find like a girl that was exorcised in like a very small city in Lima. So my assignments were like crazy. But when I came here, you know, I was expecting maybe more of that drama because I guess it's just because here is different, right? But here my writing assignments were more like, you know, find more like feature writing, or like more like, it was not like crazy dramatic. It was like find, I remember one of my assignments was like find 3 people that have something in common at Purchase, have a problem, and write a story about them. So I remember that I guess the first thing that I got was like I found 3 stories that were fighting with a dean or something like that. So I tried to still find some drama in between, even though it was such a simple story. So I did an interview of a student from Israel that was really like pretty much facing to be kicked out of college. So yeah, I always like look for stories that are more like, I don't know, I guess more intense. But I didn't take too many classes at Purchase. I take journalism 1, journalism 2, junior seminar, you know, the senior project, and I took maybe history of journalism politics of immigration and his history and in a science class. But I didn't take many electives because all the stuff I took it in my country. So yeah.
You got it.
Who picks the spin of an article? The producer, the newscaster, what's behind the stories that get picked and the way it's reported. So, well, every news media, like in TV, we have a news director. But I guess like you could have like an editorial manager, like when you work at a newspaper. So the news director is the head of the newscast. So let's say I pitch a story. So as a producer, a line producer, I decide this is what I'm going to do. I introduce it to my my assistant news director because she's in charge of the show that I produce, and she's like, "Oh, I like this. Take it out here." And like, pretty much, if she doesn't like it or she thinks like maybe this is not good, like she will guide me. But I know mainly it's the news director that decides like this is. So we as producer we like tell we want to do this, and we presented a half hour of content, and then we have a meeting, and then we discuss. And in the meeting, everybody like have an input on the meeting, and at the end, but the final word is from the news director. But definitely like the spin of the angle of the story, you know, it's regarding the editorial line that you have. So like Univision have like a different editorial line than maybe, you know, Telemundo or NBC or Fox or ABC, right? So our editorial line is that it needs to be local, it needs to be relevant, it needs to be, you know, it needs to have like hearts and guts, like it needs to be, you know, passionate. We're talking about our people. It needs to have, we need to always be the protectors for our audience. So that's why we always find like, okay, this is a website, this is the phone number to call if you're in trouble. So I think like the way that we see each other to our audience, and after like a lot of like research studies about how our audience see us, the audience see Noticias Univision as we are their protectors. And with that segment, A Tu Lado, the consumer segment, which is our flag segment, people trust us for like coming for help. So most of the stories come really for people making phone calls and telling us we need help or something is happening here, please come here. So people look for us and give us the stories. How do you prepare the documentary for your senior project? Oh, how do you prepare the documentary for, okay. So I was very confused. I didn't know what to do on my senior project, but I knew that I have to do something with immigration, because I'm very passionate about, you know, like immigrants in the United States. So at that moment when I was when I was studying at Purchase, I was undocumented. So I did not have, you know, documents to work in the United States. At my time when I was a student. So I started like learning a little bit about the Dreamers movement, and I started like researching and just reading about them. And one day I started like researching a lot first. I spent a lot of time of researching. And then I realized that there are a lot of young people and a lot of activists out there that are the ones lobbying for change, and they like, you know, they really like grab a lot of people, and then they start lobbying to Albany, like asking for laws to make and all of that. So I decided that I want to follow the activists. So I decided that I want to follow their journey. So my documentary was called Undocumented and Unafraid, and it was about the activists that really help put together. You know, I don't know if you know like what is DACA. DACA is, you know, it's the executive order given by Obama that protects undocumented students that were brought here when they were children. And I traveled to Tampa to meet this guy, Felipe. Felipe was a student from Miami, Florida University. And he and 4 friends decided to walk from Miami till Washington, D.C. They did a caravan that was called the Trail of Dreams. And they walk, and every city that they walk from Miami to DC, they had the support of people, and people keep walking, following them. And they walked to speak to, and they walked, and they even went to Texas. They met with Arpaio. I mean, their journey is amazing. And I was just researching until I found him, and he said, yes, I'll give you an interview. And he introduced me to other activists. And usually these red of activists, they know each other. So I have activists from Florida, I have activists from New York, and I have someone from Arizona that came to New York. So I travel and talk to different people and talk about their journey. And I remember something that Felipe said, that is like, when the history books are written, you're gonna say, oh, Obama did that DACA. It was Obama who did that. He said, it was not Obama. It was us. Obama could do this a long time ago if he wanted, but it was us that we came, and we were like pushing him to please do something for us. And we came and walk and push and move people around everybody. And that's true. Like, if you see like laws that are there, like if you see like LGBTQ people able to get married and have like the same rights of us, is because people stand up and walk in these movements and fight for their rights. But it was not like a lawmaker that started by themselves. It was the people that pushed for that to happen. So that's how I did my my documentary on activists fighting for that, for their rights, you know, and trying to find trying not to get deported. Mm-hmm.
We just have time for one more question, and this was one that actually came in through the registration form, which
Mm-hmm.
was, once you graduated from Purchase, what was your next move, and did you have a plan? And if you did, were you able to execute it?
What was my next move? So my plan, as everybody, was launching a job, right? I remember I was like in the midst of like fixing my my documents. So without documents, you cannot apply for a job here. So I was very hopeless that maybe I was not able to you know to have any job or anything. So my plan was, you know, I'm going to like study, see what I could do, or if not, just go back to Peru, because with a degree from here, you know, from the United States, you go to Peru and I am Queen Shayla, you know, because it's like, you know, America, United States, that you have a degree. Unfortunately, you know, that's the reality on like countries like mine, right? Everything that is from overseas is better. But my plan was really launching a job, and if and I really um, did my my resume. I tried to do the best that I can. I did not just do like a regular resume. I actually designed it on Adobe InDesign. I look for like creative resumes online, and I really try to like make my resume, you know, like stand out from the rest. And pretty much my plan was that, you know, asking everybody, I need a job, I need a job, I need a job. I would just ask to everybody, and it honestly, I was able to get I got a job like right away after I graduated. Like, but because I think of the experience that I had in internship, I don't think if I wouldn't have those internships, I would have launched a job right away. But you know, having CNN on my internship, and LNC TV on my internship, and like I also put like you know but I also had awards under my name too. So I'm volunteering experience. So you just need to make sure that you have a lot of lines on your resume when you're getting out of college, right? So you could and you know what I did that I didn't talk about it is that I have a lot of informational meetings. So I would like stalk people on LinkedIn, and let's say I would like add people like producers and whoever, right? And I will add people, and I will send messages and say like, hey, can I have an informational meeting with you? And some people would never answer. Some people did answer, and some people say yes. And I say, just give me 5 minutes of your time. So like, what is the best advice that you could give, or can you tell me a little bit about your job? Like, there was a moment that I wanted to switch jobs. that I didn't want to work on TV anymore, that I was in the middle of like undecided movement. And I start like asking a lot of friends that work in others departments, and I start like interviewing like for example Alina that Suriel, that she's also like an alumni from Purchase, and she knows me. She works right now as like, she started working as a press secretary for the bronze president, and now I think she is like she's working on the communications department from like I don't know, this electricity company, this big electricity company, I blank the electricity company. Con Edison, I think it is. So so I said like, how do you do that? So tell me, what do you do? And like, just investigate what other people do, you know, and people that have helped me in my just checking out my resume and just making sure that it's okay and for typos or whatever, are people that I make friends in the past. Like I have a friend that I met from CNN that until now I told you, I have to keep the relationship like current. Like don't just talk to them when you need them, just like say, hey, how are you? You know, how is everything? Like when I got offered my job at Telemundo, I did not accept it because I was stupid. Someone from Telemundo found me online and said like, hey, do you want a job? And I said no. And I said no because they were offering me a freelance job and I wanted like full time with benefits. I said I cannot afford a freelance. I have debts, I have bills. And that was a very big mistake because that's how you start freelancing. I didn't know about that. And I said, but I already did. I pay my dues at a small TV station. I already have 5 years working as a producer. Why am I going to start as a PA? Why? I already have the experience. So I was very cocky and I said, no, I'm a producer and I need a full-time job. So I give myself value of my knowledge. And she liked that actually. She said, I understand, but I would like to meet you regardless. Come to my office. So she met me. And when she met me in person, she introduced me to everybody. And I said, let's keep in touch. And I said, like, okay. I say her like a thank you note. That's what actually Marialis told me. Always send thank you notes to everybody. And I said a thank you note, and then I keep the contact. And when finally I was really tired of working at the small TV station, I contacted her and I said like, hey, do you still have that freelance job? And she was like, oh, now you want to freelance. And I said, yes. And I will do anything. I will produce. I mean, I understand it's not with full benefits, but at this moment I need that. I did 6 months as a freelancer. I learned there that unfortunately, like that entry level job, it takes time to move up. And a good friend told me, if you want to like get another job, you need to quit and find another one, quit and find another one. So I applied to News 12, I applied to Fios News, and then I applied to Univision. And I got a call from the 3 places. And finally like Univision like hired me. And I went from like a production assistant, let's say, because that news operation writer associate is like a fancy name that they give you, but it's really like you're like a production assistant pretty much. And I went from PA to investigative consumer producer, which is like a very high like jump, you know. And it was because of the former experience that I had in the past. So freelancing actually helped me move out. So don't be afraid of freelancing. Freelance all you can. All you can. Yeah. I think
well, sorry. There are some great lessons there. I'm glad you gave a plug for networking and LinkedIn and strengthening your resume and asking for help and getting feedback from folks. I think that's really, really valuable lesson. You have so many interesting stories. We could go on and probably you could go on and share more, but unfortunately we have to end up just by saying thank you so much. I think that you've shared so much wonderful information. Your story is really fascinating. I welcome you to come back anytime, and hopefully you'll actually be able to come back to the college and visit sometime when things are better.
Yeah, just add me on LinkedIn. I mean, right now I'm working at Univision, but I'm not sure if maybe I'll move up to, I don't know, maybe someday ABC or someplace. And just to finish, I'm going to like just leave you with something that I learned from Scott Pelley. Mary Alice took us to evening with Scott Pelley from CBS News, and he took us a whole class to just, be part of that. And Scott Pelley said on camera, he said, I was rejected of CBS Evening News like 7 times, she said. Most people say like, you go, the first one, you don't get it. The second one, okay. The third one, if the third one I don't get it, I gave up, right? But Scott Pelley, like, he told me like, it was the 7th time. It was not the 4th one, it was not the 5th time. It was like, I believe it was like the 7th time that finally he got the job that he wanted. And he told me, when someone tells you no, that means go. That means go get it, that means go. And just like last year, I met my neighbor, and he resulted to be like a journalist that used to work for AP News. And we hit it out, and then we started like becoming very friends. And he said like, come to my, there's like a Columbia award night. Come here. And I said like, okay. I went to this award night, and then I was with Scott Pelley, and I said to him, thank you. That advice that you gave me really like helped me in my career. I will never forget those words that when someone tells you no, that means a go. And that's something that I think I would tell everybody, just be confident, even though if you don't trust yourself, don't get your insecurities that bring you down. And you could add me on LinkedIn. If you ever need anything, you never know. Good karma is always good. I help you, you help someone, and it just, it's good to have like a circle of people. I know there's like a journalism group on Facebook, right? I think like Alina created that, and that's how we sometimes post jobs. And and also, final tip: if you want to get a job, the job sometimes is not really posted. Sometimes you need to reach the news director and say like, hey, I'm a good writer. I'm looking for freelance jobs. I wonder if you are you looking for a freelancers? And they say like, maybe. I say like, put me to the test. I could write a news story for you. So you need to show that confidence, and they put your test. Oh, I like it. And that's how you get a job. Like, just go straight to the news director, who is the one who hires, and you will get like the job like faster than applying. Go be aggressive.
Shayla, wonderful advice. You're very inspiring to many. Thank you so much for joining us today. Let's give her a hand.
Hi. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Okay, ciao, ciao.